going on, you guys, and welcome back to another video. So glad that you can join us today. For me, this is an exciting episode. I've been waiting for months and months and months to actually be able to work on this thing. In between life, work, kid, it's just sometimes it's hard. But if anybody watched my very first video that I put out, you will see that I featured a Koss stereo. So she is actually sitting right here. She's looking all pretty, or at least trying to. I'm not entirely sure if she even works, but she's just been sitting in the corner of my closet, begging me, please, remove this cancer from my skin. Restore me to my previous glory. And get me back to a nice home where I can be used and make somebody happy. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to remove all this rust, hopefully. Going to inspect the inside, because I mean this is obviously water damage, so we got to check the inside before we do anything. Before I even power this thing on, we're going to have to see what kind of damage she has, if any, and we can go from there. I will be sanding her down or using a razor blade to remove all that in big chunks. You know, it's really going to depend, you know. I'm not entirely sure until I get into it. But she, you know, aside from that, she looks good. She got a little bit of something going on here, some kind of stain, which I'm sure I can remove. But I will be doing a complete refurb on this. I'm not going to do any speed ups. I'm not going to speed it up. It's going to stay 100% nice and slow for you guys, so you can see the entire process and see exactly what goes into doing something like this. Alright, so anytime that you encounter any type of electronic that has rust damage, the first thing you're going to want to do is you always want to get it taken apart, see if this transcended past this portion. Whether, you know, it could be a stereo, it could be a gaming console, a computer, whatever. You want to get this thing apart. You want to see what the capacitors look like, transistors, whatever. If there's any damage on the actual board itself, you're going to want to be 100% sure that when you power this thing on, it ain't going to be sparking, ain't going to be catching on fire, you're not going to short other components. There's a lot of factors that go into water damage electronics. So this particular one I have had for quite a few months. I'm sure at this point that it's probably dried out, but that doesn't change the fact that it could have caused significant board rot, which can cause shorts. There's just so many different things that go into something like this when it comes to water damage, so you have to be very careful. And I know you've seen other YouTubers on YouTube that make it look easy when it comes to this kind of stuff. Oh, we just wipe it down with IPA or isopropyl alcohol and it's good to go. That's 90% of the time that's not the case. So first thing we're going to want to do before I even plug it in is we're going to want to get it apart, inspect the board, see if we have any damage, and then go from there. Alright, so at this point, we are going to go ahead and start getting right into this guy. There are a few screws on each side. There's about 3 screws in the back. Should be relatively easy to get apart. Fingers crossed that she is salvageable, because when it comes to this system, I can find hardly anything online about this. Seems like it's not something that has been commonly produced, but when it was produced in the late 90s to very early 2000s. So this is definitely one of those that's worth saving. So I'm going to go ahead and dig in, see what we can or can't find. So as previously stated in my last video, always find somewhere safe to keep these guys. When it comes to your screws, you don't want to lose them. They're small, they're easy to lose, it can really set you back. So for me, I'll go ahead and pull this guy out. It's just a tackle box. However, when it comes to this tackle box, it has multiple different compartments to keep various different types of screws. That way you don't get mixed up. So, go ahead and just pick a slot, drop it on in, set this guy aside, and continue. So I do plan on getting rid of all the rust if it does work. I'm going to sand it down, and we are going to give it a special paint job. I'm going to paint it my favorite color, which I'm not going to say just yet. Leave a comment guessing as to what color you think it's going to be. But I'll give you a hint. It is not going to be black. Black is boring. For anybody wondering, this is a 5-to-1 system. See down here, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the subwoofer out, which is what makes it a 5-to-1 system. Okay, fingers crossed. I think it's going to be ruined on the inside, or you think she's going to be all right? Give you a nice close-up of what this shell looks like. It's bad. So hopefully we can get that removed, get this thing restored. First impressions of the inside. It's not half bad at all. In fact, she looks amazing. I am genuinely impressed. I don't know how there's no water damage in here, because there is nothing. There might be some hints here and there of a little bit of corrosion, but it looks like it did not go any deeper than the surface of the board. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I think that this is worth just hooking up right now to a couple of speakers. See how she does. See what kind of sound I get from her. And if it works, then this is going to be a full-on restoration project. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some speaker wire and hook it up to a nice set of my speakers. I have a Kenwood and a Marantz sitting on top of each other that sound amazing together, and I think that these would be the perfect testing speakers. One pair is 15-inch, that would be the Kenwoods. The other pair are my Marantz, they are 12-inch woofers. I'll give you guys a little look-see here. So these are my Marantz speakers. I use these to test almost everything. And then we got the Kenwoods. These things are massive. They're 200 watts RMS. These are absolutely incredible speakers. So we'll get this guy, I'm sorry, this gal, this beautiful gal, hooked up. See what she sounds like. And if she works good, we shall go from there. Alright, so we got this old girl hooked up. We do have a red light on the volume button, which is a good sign. Haven't adjusted these guys quite yet. I guess it doesn't really matter. Alright, fingers crossed. No fires. Nobody gets electrocuted. Think she's gonna work? We'll all be dipped. Look at that. We got a green light. We got other green lights. And the question is now, does it put out sound? Are you ready? She definitely puts out sound, and not bad at all. All right, let's go ahead and test our other modes. All right, not bad.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. So glad you guys.
Phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. I cannot believe that this thing works. So now that we know that this thing actually works, which I'm astounded. I can't believe it. We're going to go ahead, get everything unplugged, disconnected, and give this board a nice good little wipe down. I will be using 91% isopropyl alcohol. You can pretty much use this to clean any and all electronics. Doesn't matter what it is. And it will do just fine. Again, I'm amazed. I can't believe it. This thing sat out on the road. It's got the rust that it has. And it still performs. In fact, it sounds amazing. Supposedly this thing is rated at 25 watts a channel. There's no way. Because it's driving a 12-inch woofer and a 15, and it sounds incredibly good. So we'll go ahead and get this guy unplugged, disconnected from the speakers, and we will start going through the restoration process. Get her nice and painted, and get it for sale, and hopefully get it sold and into a new home. So of course, you're always going to want to power it down and get her unplugged. You're going to want to get your wire nice. You want to get your plug nice and wound up so it's not getting in the way. Then for me, I'll just do a little wrap around right here. Tie her off. She is good to go. So, first things first. Take your brush, or a brush that has nice soft bristles, and gently, very gently, kind of go over everything. You don't want to bend anything out of whack. You don't want to damage anything. Just take your time. Get any of that dust out of there. You don't need to be too crazy with it. Go over it a few times. Get the areas that you can get. Because there is not a lot of dust in here. Once I have all the dust off to the side over here, I will be taking my Clorox wipes and just running it along that side to pick up any of that extra dust. Go down the heat sinks right here. Do the best job that I can. And again on this side as well, I'll be taking my Clorox wipe. Oh god, I don't know if you guys can see that dust cloud. Holy moly, there's a lot sitting down here. But I'll be taking my wipes and going through here, getting everything nice and cleaned up. So off camera, I did go ahead and test the other channels. There's the front, the center, and the surround channels, which all work 100% perfect. She still has an amazing amount of power. And again, I don't know how this thing is rated at 25 watts a channel. That is just, it's insane. Alright, we'll get our wipes. Go ahead and just stick her on in there. Make sure you're actually hitting the frame. With these wipes, they do pick up a lot of crud relatively easily as well. Just kind of want to bunch it up and shove it in there. Look at that crap. So you guys can see a little bit better. And again, this is going to be a mostly unedited video. I want you guys to see as much of the process as possible. That way, if you ever decide to do it, you have an idea of what to do. So I do notice down here, right there, that there are some rust spots. However, it did not touch the actual board itself, and how that's even possible, I don't know. But sometimes you end up with situations like this, and just take it as a blessing. So when it comes to the next part, be very careful, very delicate. Get a soft bristle toothbrush, soak it in IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and start scrubbing her down. Alright, so now I got my trusty dusty toothbrush. Make this very simple for you. Take your alcohol, and just start dabbing. I do a little here, a little there. I want to make sure and cover the whole board. This is not going to hurt your electronics. I kind of just go everywhere with it. Looks like a lot on camera, but it's not. Once you're done doing that, just go ahead and take your toothbrush, pick a corner to start working on, and you start working that crud out of there. So I always prefer to go in a circular motion or straight back and forth. Depends on the setup of the capacitors, diodes, and then other components on the board. So I barely touched this guy right here and it moved. So that just goes to show, be very careful. Moving it once or twice might be alright. You don't want to do it too many times. Once I'm done with this, I will be using a soft bristle paintbrush to do the rest, while there is still alcohol on the board, to get the areas that this guy cannot. Sorry, my arms are kind of blocking the view right there. Definitely seeing some grime and crap coming up. Sorry for the edit there, you guys. The camera actually died. So I'm just finishing up getting all these little particles off, and then we will move to the brush. I want this to be as clean as it's going to allow me to get it. Probably sound good right there. So we will go back to the brush. This is going to get up any of the residual crap that's left on the board. It'll also help dry up that alcohol a little bit as well. I'll be taking a Clorox wipe and cleaning off these cables as well. Some tough stuff here that does not want to come off. There it goes. Okay, nice. Alright, we'll probably call it good at that. After that, we will take my Clorox wipes, which I'm getting ready right now. Go ahead and wipe down these cables. They may not look the cleanest, but they are definitely old and faded, so can only do so much. ahead, get a little bit of this heat sink right here, get this crap off of here, at least as much as we can get off. Clean the inner frame. I know it looks like I'm going fast, but this stuff is coming off surprisingly easy, so very, very fortunate for that. We'll go ahead and call that good. It's about as good as it's going to get, unless I actually pull this board out of here, which it does not need. I'm baffled at how good this thing looks on the inside. This is going to make somebody very happy, hopefully anyways. So I think our next step is going to be pulling all the little knobs off. See if I can turn it here without bending the frame. So we'll go ahead and pull all these little knobs off, which by the way can be a real pain in the butt to actually get off. Well, we'll start with you. Oh, that came off. Alright, so you guys look at this little spot right here where the red and green light come through. It is held in by a tiny little board and a screw. So we'll get my trusty dusty screwdriver. Alright, so this is trusty dusty screwdriver number 2. This one fits in here a little bit better. We will go ahead and loosen this guy up. Get that screw out of there, pull the board out. It's not easy as I thought it was going to be. Alright, now it's out. Little board sitting right here. I'm going to set these guys off to the side. Alright, let's see how much pushback I'm going to get from these guys. So if you ever encounter a scenario like this where the knobs do not want to come out, go ahead and take a piece of cloth, a pair of pliers, wrap it around, that way you don't scratch it, cause any kind of damage. Apparently they do not want to come out. Typically these would just pop right out, so go ahead and fight with these a little bit, see if I can't get them out. Alright, so we're just going to go with these guys are not going to come out. I feel like I'm going to cause damage if I were to pull any harder, so we'll just leave these guys where they're at. These guys are perfectly fine. So the main reason why I wanted to pull these off is because I did want to paint them, but with the color combination that I plan on using, I think it'll be perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and clean out the inside of this guy right here. Clean up the front panel a little bit. One thing I noticed about the build quality of this is that these definitely move around inside their housings a lot. So I don't particularly like that. I'm going to go ahead and call that good. I will get to the back panel as well. But before I do that, I actually want to set that right there. Get this guy to the side. Ugh. So much stuff leaked through. It's disgusting. Alright, so now we got our little mess cleaned up here. We are going to go ahead and focus our attention to the top panel. So, if you don't remember, she does have a good bit of rust. We're going to want to get that off of there. So what I've decided to do is take a razor and try and take off as many big chunks as possible, and then I will go at it with some light grit sandpaper. So we will just go ahead and get right into that, and hopefully this is quick, easy, and painless. So if you ever encounter an issue like this, never do it while it's still attached to the stereo. What's going to happen is you're going to drop all this stuff inside, and even if you clean it out, there's no guarantee that you're going to get all of it, which these are metal shavings, so you might end up causing a short. I will be taking this brush and washing it off, just to be safe. I've actually taken off very large chunks. Exactly what I was hoping for. Honestly, wish I had some gloves to be doing this. I should have bought some gloves today. Would also recommend that if you're doing anything like this to wear a face mask. But again, these are relatively large chunks. It doesn't mean that it won't be putting particulates out in the air for you to breathe in, which is definitely not good for you. Sorry, I'm sure that's pretty loud. Then you want to go ahead and get inside these crevices as well. These last ones are not too bad. I am going to give her a good amount of pressure right here. Seems to be the worst spot is right here in this area. I do apologize if this is loud. Take a wipe and just give it a quick little wipe down. Get rid of any particulates that are left on here. Alright, next up is going to be sandpaper. Alright, this shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. Most of that came off with the razor blade, but you want to get sanded down as much as possible, otherwise when you do the paint job, it's going to look very uneven. Look at that. It's disgusting. Guys look closely, see we're actually getting down to the frame here. The rust is coming off beautifully. Alright, so she's looking like she is good to go. I will go ahead and show you guys the carnage underneath. You ready? Look at that. It's disgusting. But that is also progress. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up. The only process I'm not going to show is me painting it, because at this point it is dark outside and you're not going to be able to see squat. Leave a comment as to what color you think that I'm going to paint it. I'll give you a hint. It is my favorite color, which nobody knows what it is yet, but you're going to find out. Alright, you guys, my dudes and dudettes, this is the color that I decided to go with. I think it's absolutely beautiful. This is plum purple. Still working on drying all the way. This is a classic color that you would find on our old school muscle cars dating back to the 60s and 70s. Came out phenomenal. So I think the purple on black is going to look very sexy. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, so now that we got the hard part taken care of and squared away, we're going to go ahead and set this aside. Go ahead and grab my stereo. Bring her on over. I did decide not to do the knob because this is Plasti Dip. I feel like if you keep on using this little volume knobby, it's going to eventually start to peel up, which I don't want. We are looking for longevity. Let me go ahead and take our little screw here. Get the light back in here. A lot easier said than done. Take trusty dusty screwdriver number 1. Get it back in there. Get that screw in there. Boom, just like that. She's, for the most part, back together. And I'm sorry for the low light. It is nighttime, and my white light here is not exactly the best. Maybe I can bring it over here. There we go, that's a little bit better. Still a little bit of residue there, which I'm going to clean off. Get her all nice and pretty. Much better. That is a beautiful stereo. So now, the obvious part, we're going to go ahead and get that top panel back on. Get it all screwed back together. See what she looks like. Looks absolutely phenomenal. Couldn't be happier with that. Still a couple deep scratches that are showing through, unfortunately, but this is far better than she was before. What a beautiful girl. Now, if you guys remember, because you keep your screws all taken care of and kept track of, I'm going to go into my tackle box here, grab the screws that I need. Get this old gal back together. We'll test her one last time. We will start looking for a new home for her. Last two screws. just like that, she is back together. This thing turned out flippin' awesome. I'm super happy with that. Again, there are some deep scratches. I didn't want to put too many coats on. Otherwise it has a tendency to start peeling. So the imperfections, definitely just gonna add a little bit of character. She looks so good. Now what we're gonna wanna do, after everything that we've done, hook it up, see if it sounds good. I think it will. See what kind of results we get, you guys. So when it comes to my wiring, I am a stripe is negative and solid is positive type of guy. What type of guy or gal are you? I'll actually go this way. I'm trying to go the wrong way there. All nice and hooked up at the rear. Again, I did test all the channels, but right now I'm testing the main power channels. And we will see what kind of results we get. All right, here we go. Alright folks, so we got her back together, looking beautiful. She's all nice and hooked up. And we're just going to play the intro to my very first video. Think it's gonna work? Well, apparently my laptop doesn't want to work.
What's going on, everybody?
And that is the sound of success, homies. This thing works great, sounds great. Hopefully we can find her a nice, loving, caring home. Somebody's going to take care of her for many years to come. Super glad you guys could join us for this. It's going to be the end of this one. I look forward to the next one. Y'all stay safe in the world.